Welcome, everybody, at another episode of the Wrestling vs. the World podcast. If you're enjoying your day, sweet. If not, then what the hell ever. So I got another pay-per-view review to bring in here. I know it's not the same month that this show happened and everything, but you know what? Why not? No Way Out 2003. I dread going through this show because I do not have a good opinion of it. But we're going to break this stuff down as best as possible. So, opening match, Chris Jericho, Jeff Hardy. This was supposed to have been Chris Jericho versus Test, but of course, as the story goes, Test and Stacey, they missed a flight because of weather problems. The company didn't care, so instead, it suddenly came Jericho and Hardy and everything. And I think this was right after Hardy's brief heel run happened, then he quickly turned babyface after like 3 weeks. Fine match. Like, they have really good chemistry together. Jericho wins at the end. I believe it was with the walls of Jericho making Jeff tap out. So, a good start to the show, and then Shawn Michaels and Jericho, if I remember correctly, ended up brawling afterwards to still build up the fact that they're going at it at WrestleMania. So, good start to the show. And then afterwards, I remember there was a segment where Matt V1 decided to be like, "Hey Jeff, you've stayed being a Mattitude follower. You haven't been after all these years. You wouldn't be losing every match you're in, huh? How does that feel?" And then Jeff just responds, slapping him in the face. Very well deserved. Now the second match. This one has a little bit of an issue. William Regal and Lance Storm defending the World Tag Team titles against Kane and Rob Van Dam. Because Regal and Lance Storm, they're still kind of... I think this was after, if I remember correctly, this was after the Un-Americans officially split, but, you know, they're still tag team being like, hey, we still don't like America, and all that stuff. This was a fine tag match. Like, not as good as the previous match and everything. But the most notable thing you probably remember are two things. A finish and a botch in the match. The botch in the match being where Kane gave a scoop slam to William Regal, and his back of his head accidentally ended up bouncing off the canvas because he didn't tuck his head in. And that left him with a concussion that left him loopy for the rest of the match. And then that also led to him eventually getting diagnosed with a heart problem and everything. So it actually, in a way, also saved his life, I believe. But you also remember the finish where they mess with Kane's mask and everything. He ends up accidentally chokeslamming his own partner, Rob Van Dam, and that led to Storm and Regal retaining the tag titles. So, fine match, could have seen better. Like I said, afterwards, William Regal will be off television for well over a year because of his heart issue. And we would see the tag titles get taken off of Lance Storm as a result. And then it's awarded magically to Lance Storm as a new reign and his tag partner, Queef Morley. Gag me with a spoon, please. Now you get the next one. Matt Hardy V1 going against Billy Kidman for the WWE Cruiserweight Championship. Fun fact about this, I believe this was when they had put the match graphic together for this match. They finally put the match graphic properly where Billy Kidman actually holds the current design of the Cruiserweight title, because every other time he was holding the championship and they showed a graphic, it was still him with the WCW version of it, despite the fact that they changed the design back in June of the previous year. But Matt, he wanted to be Cruiserweight champion, and he had to meet the weight limit. And you get those like backstage segments where he's doing whatever he can to keep losing weight, being like, oh, you got to run on the friggin' bike over and over and sweating all over the place. And it's like, that's at least a character with dedication. Like, he wants a championship, he's going to do whatever it takes to become a rightful contender, and he's putting the work in. This was surprisingly a solid match. I mean, I shouldn't say solid, but it's just like, seeing what we see of the show, it's a good solid match. And like I said, it is kind of ironic that they finally give Billy Kidman the updated graphic that he needs, only to then lose the championship here to Matt Hardy as soon as he gets that update. But Matt Hardy finally becomes Cruiserweight champion here. He would hold his championship for a few months afterwards and feud with Rey Mysterio, but solid match here. I like it. Now, this one also has another bit of iffiness. Undertaker versus Big Show. So, ever since Undertaker was gone from television, because he had a broken hand and everything, he would come back at Royal Rumble and everything, and then he would want to get his revenge on the Big Show because Big Show threw him off the SmackDown stage, throwing him off television. And Big Show, he's trying to make peace with Undertaker, be like, oh, I have all these boxes, and everything that comes out of a box instantly gets over. So he's trying to get Undertaker to forgive him. And he's like, oh, here's Brother Love, your old manager who takes the last ride, I believe. It was either that or the chokeslam. Then another box. Oh, here's the dog. And then there was another box where here's Chris Canyon, like, singing his Boy George, and let's concuss him very badly with a chair shot. Still awkward to this day. But eventually they finally do have the match, and look, I know it's like intriguing to see two big-sized men go one-on-one, but in a one-on-one capacity, these two didn't really click very well in terms of having anything stand outish. This match was just lackluster. Like, I know Undertaker wins here with the Dragon Sleeper. I believe he called it the taking care of business. But it's like, they had better matches years later, like in 2008 with like the stuff in No Mercy and Survivor Series compared to this. It's just like, this was a blah match. Hell, the match that they had on Raw in 99 where Undertaker got chokeslammed through the ring was better than this. It was just, eh. Now, this next one, we had cards subject to change here. Brock Lesnar and Chris Benoit against Team Angle being Kurt Angle, Charlie Haas, and Shelton Benjamin. Edge was supposed to have teamed with Brock and Benoit in this match, but unfortunately Edge had a legit broken neck issue going back to his no DQ match against Eddie back in September. So he was written out of backstage, and they never followed up, of course, for who was behind the attack, as Edge would be out for over a year. But instead, it's a 3-on-2 handicap match. Best match on the show, really good main event, handicap match. But then we also like watch back with some of the footage, and we find out that Angle broke his neck again in this match because he was on Lesnar's back and got charged right into the corner, and his neck snapped in a bad way. So Angle broke his neck. Benoit would get the submission win by making Charlie Haas tap out to the crippler crossface, so the babyface team wins. But then Angle, his future would be in jeopardy and everything leading to WrestleMania. He would still thankfully make it to the show and have this fantastic match against Brock, which I've already covered in a WrestleMania 19 review outside of the podcast. But really good match here. The best match of the night, obviously. But I mean, it still sucks that Angle broke his neck here, because it's like, that man cannot catch a break when it comes to his neck. Now this, oh, great. Triple H Scott Steiner. I believe this was before Evolution officially formed, but Ric Flair was still managing Triple H. These two had that horrible match at the Royal Rumble, where, unfortunately for Steiner, he had drop foot, so he did that double underhook drop or powerbomb, whatever that move was. Like, it doesn't look like a powerbomb, but it's like the best description, at least between those two moves. And he fell over because his foot gave way, and he just kept doing belly-to-belly suplexes over and over and over and over again until he had the disqualification finish with a sledgehammer. And then they still made him the number one contender again after beating Chris Jericho to get this rematch. And then, of course, afterwards wouldn't get a match at WrestleMania. But this match was also bad. Not as bad as the Royal Rumble match, but still really bad. You remember more of the fact that Earl Hebner's referee got the "You Screwed Brett" chants during the intro here. Like, he's holding up the championship and "You screwed Brett." Like, why? But Triple H, he would retain because there would be distractions outside the ring. He would use the World Heavyweight Championship as a weapon and defeat Scott Steiner. So that ended the poor feud, and again, a really bad match. But again, not as bad as the Royal Rumble, but still awkward. Now, this one, there's a positive thing and a negative thing. The positive thing, we got Stone Cold versus Eric Bischoff. Stone Cold, he hadn't been around since he walked out back in June, unhappy for multiple reasons with the company. And officially, he told in the interviews and everything later that he had, like, after staying away from the company and not keeping in touch with anybody, he got this card from JR telling him, like, hey, in case you ever need somebody to talk to, I'm here. That helped him mend fence with Vince, even though he got fined a boatload of money to come back. And they finally hyped it up saying, hey, Eric Bischoff, you suck at your job, and you have to hire Stone Cold back or else you're fired. He couldn't get in time, so Eric Bischoff, you're fired. But then JR steps in and be like, oh, Austin will be there no way out. All right, Eric Bischoff, you're rehired. So we finally get the match here, and that pop that Austin got was fantastic. Like, the crowd freaking roared as soon as he stepped out and realized, yeah, this is not a bait and switch. And for 4.5 minutes, he's just beating Eric Bischoff all around, like, multiple stunners and everything. So it's like, it's entertaining to see Bischoff get his ass kicked, but in terms of, like, a quality match, it's like, if I want to see a wrestler versus, like, an abusive heel authority figure, I'd watch more of Shawn and Vince from WrestleMania 22, but it's fine to see, but it's just, like, not a quality match that you're going to be like, hey, this was Eric Bischoff's greatest match in history. Maybe it was, depending on fan perception, but we've seen a better wrestler versus authority figure match like later on. And then this was awkward. The Rock Hulk Hogan 2 for the main event. So these two, they had the really damn good match of WrestleMania 18 the year prior. Magical, white hot crowd and everything, even if they gave the opposite intended reactions and everything based on the characters. And that was a match that stole the show for WrestleMania 18. So you get to present day now. The Rock, he had been away since after he lost the Undisputed title to Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. Hogan, he hadn't been seen since before SummerSlam when Brock squeezed the life out of him with a bear hug on SmackDown. So Hogan, he's back. They phased out the Hollywood name, and The Rock, he's now also returned. And now he's a heel doing the whole Hollywood persona. They're like, oh, The Rock says that Hogan, you're like, oh, brother, oh, and flex and all that jazz. So finally, we have a match here now for No Way Out, being like, oh, it's the WrestleMania rematch. These two, unfortunately, it did not have the same magic as what we saw the year prior. It was pretty lackluster. You look at these two side by side, it just did not feel the same. The Rock, it felt like he was having more time showboating and everything, putting on the bandana and flexing and all that stuff. And then they had that weird finish there because the referee was down, and all of a sudden you had the extra referee Sylvain Grenier, who would be part of La Resistance, would come out and he would be the official towards the end of all this. Vince would distract Hogan, and then The Rock would freaking clock him in the head with a steel chair to bust him open, with him getting caught on camera starting to blade. But The Rock would still defeat Hogan thanks after that distraction and the chair shot and all that stuff. But yeah, I did not really care for this one, to be honest. Like I said, if you want the better quality match, look at the first match. It did not feel the same here for whatever reason. So yeah, I'm not fond of this show, to be honest. There was a lot, there was one standout-ish match, and then everything else is either good or lacking in comparison. Like I said, Jericho Jeff was solid. The tag title match was eh. The Cruiserweight title match was solid. Undertaker Big Show did not feel like it was, up to par. The handicap match was really good, and then everything else, afterwards, was really bad, meh, and just lacking compared to a previous match. It's not easy to get a sequel, rematch, to be, on par compared to the original match. And this is just proof of it. It doesn't always work. Because, you have a standard that you set when you have an amazing, a really standout-ish match the first time, and then it's hard to follow up afterwards. But just, would I recommend No Way Out 2002? No, or 2003? No. Really not. Maybe a couple matches you can watch, but it's just if I have to summarize the feeling of this show, it's that the theme song of this show, Bring Me Alive by Evanescence, was better quality than this show as a whole. And I know some people may feel a little bit awkward. If you've been here on YouTube for a while and you remember the old days of YouTube, you cannot escape that song. So many people, if they have music to play over a video, you heard that song more often than anything else, maybe outside of that, sound, whatever, techno, cheap pop song that other people would use that make you want to freaking drill your ears out. But, let's face it, that song was more quality compared to anything else on this show, or as a whole and everything. But, like I said, just let me know what y'all thought in the comment section below about No Way Out 2003. If you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, folks, please remember, leave a like, subscribe with the bell turned on here on YouTube, comment what you thought below, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Thanks for listening, folks. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace out, and good day, everybody.